Humans, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Most of us know who said these words. It was Jesus. They're the pure core teachings of Jesus, excuse me, I think are really beautiful and really helpful, and can teach us a lot about true spirituality. First off, I'm going to talk about forgiveness. There is a Greek root of the word, aphemi, to let go or to release. But then it also says here that there is a, where is it? Old English or of Germanic origin related to the Dutch word vergeven. It's with a V. In German, the V makes an F sound. Vergeven and German vergeben, ultimately to for and give. So to give, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that word, I think that misunderstandings of that word are really getting cleared up in a lot of spaces today. For a long time, to forgive meant to excuse bad behavior and to overlook abusive behavior, therefore allowing it to continue. That is not what the word forgive means. Forgive means you're letting go of the attachment to that story in your mind about a situation that's giving you negative feelings in the now. Forgiveness is letting go of the story about a situation in your mind that is giving you negative emotion in the now. And it's not about the other person necessarily, but it's extremely beneficial energetically for yourself and the other person to let go of the negativity. Now, not to forget necessarily and let the same thing happen over and over again. It's good to, if you can, and if you've already stated what you need from that other person and you're not getting it, to set boundaries. Sometimes people overuse that word, but to find, get a really good self mirror and see, what am I doing in this situation that I need to stop doing? And if I'm not doing that and the other person's doing something that's infringing on my rights to live and be free, saying, no, I'm not going to have, I'm going to set up this boundary and we're not going to do that anymore. Making the choice to say, I'm not going to be a part of the negative patterns of behavior that you're continuing to do. Rex is worried about that. He's very worried. I've actually had people ridicule and cajole me for putting up boundaries at times with people who are mistreating me. That's a manipulation tactic. Oh, to start off with, what I want to mention, and this is a side note, this is completely, I don't know, it's a side note. So I had done a video a couple of videos ago. My father-in-law has been dealing with illness, and we were told by the Mayo Clinic that he was going to die. The power of prayer is real, okay, because he's making a weird, miraculous recovery. So good news. And you guys, don't stop praying for people when someone's in a situation, because I really believe that has an effect on people. So he's kind of making a recovery that doesn't make sense to the hospice nurses that were with him. So interesting. Prayers work. Also, other side note, I got to go see the eclipse with my family in the Path of Totality, and it was kind of like, I don't really have words. It was a totally amazing experience to be right underneath a full solar eclipse. The way it gets cold and the birds stop chirping, and just the way it looks. Like when you see a picture with the black ring, the moon, and then the halo around it, it doesn't really do the experience justice, because the light around it is kind of shimmering and you start to see the stars. It's a really cool experience. Another fun fact about that is my son was born in 2017 during that solar eclipse that made that first line across the United States, at the same time that the solar eclipse happened where we were at 202. And we didn't plan it this way, but for this solar eclipse that we wanted to see, the pathway making the other line of the X, we were right in the middle where those two lines meet. So we had our little solar eclipse baby son with us. It was really cool. Anyway, forgiveness. Setting up boundaries when you need them is something you can do while still being in a state of forgiveness about something. So most of us know that many Earth humans say and do a lot of things that hurt each other. And the reason why I put this particular saying, would it be a saying? Whatever, on the board is, I talked in the previous video about blind spots, the unconscious, the shadow, the unconscious wounds within the unconscious mind being the shadow, because it results in negative patterns of behavior that people don't see. And that's what this shadow work is. You're bringing the unconscious conscious. And that's really what the spiritual healing is, ultimately. That's the gist of it. And so when people hurt us, they are trapped in their form identities. They have not realized that they are not actually the form identity, that the form identity is a temporary experience, and the real us is the silent witness, as some spiritual teachers have called it, our soul. And so they are operating as if they are this meat suit identity, and the unconscious wounds within it continue to run on repeat. And it's these unconscious wounds, it's the shadow that results in people hurting each other and doing things that aren't nice. And here's where it gets really tricky, is a lot of those behaviors people really don't see. Their mind will make up little justifications for those behaviors when they're not really seeing the root pattern that's creating that situation. And so they don't actually see. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. They don't actually see those patterns that are hurting other people most of the time. Sometimes people see it, but they still will make up little justifications for it, or some people just don't even care. I have, in my own life, witnessed a lot of this. You know, a lot of us come into these bodies, and there's a lot of beauty on planet Earth with our human species, and there's a lot of potential, but there's also a lot of hurting going on, and a lot of I really see it as a lot of blocking of natural love. So I see love, so it's this energy of felt connectedness, which is through God, which is a part of who we are in our soul sense. And when we are in this form identity experience, it's the filters in this form identity that when we misidentify with this temporary identity, those filters block off that natural, there's no accident here when, like, the heart, we refer to, you know, like Valentine's Day, the heart is a representation of love. Within this space of your body is the concentrated part of your soul. And this is where the flow of love comes through. It's a natural experience when we don't block it off. But what happens for us is our form identity and all the wounds within it and all the carvings within our neural network will create experiences that block that love from flowing through. So it's not that there's an absence of the love, it's more like blocks that come in. And so most people are operating with a lot of that going on. And so we come into these bodies and we grow up and we see this experience. Like, I was bullied a lot as a kid. I was pretty weird, kind of an odd duck, very quiet, kind of a weird person. And it's usually the quiet ones who've been abused in the home that end up being bullied by other kids at school. And so I was a pretty easy target. And I experienced a lot of that in school. And on top of other wounds that I'd experienced from humans around me, that was another layer of wounding. And I was talking to my oldest daughter and her friend about it, and, you know, just having conversations about being kind at school and that sort of thing, and just talking about how that sort of thing happens in middle school. And I was telling them that I had to talk to my therapist for a long time about some of those wounds with bullying, and they actually laughed. I laughed too. It's kind of funny. You can kind of laugh at it. People leave wounds. People are leaving wounds on each other. And so that's like, I kind of have this perspective now, because for a long time my wounds were really causing a ruckus in my own experience, and I'm sure I was hurting other people for a long time. I've been on this path of spiritual healing, spiritual awakening. I've been pretty dedicated on it. A lot of old behaviors have fallen away. I don't drink anymore. I don't do any kind of drugs or anything like that. Kava on occasion, but a lot of these behaviors that were holding me in old patterns. I'm not judging anyone else who drinks alcohol or anything like that. This has just been what I needed in order to grow and heal. But on this healing pathway, there are things and realizations that I've had, and one of them is, so it is true that people will continue to behave in ways that are unkind sometimes, even as we're on this awakening path. People in our family, things like that. But for those of us who are dedicated to this path of authentic inner work, authentic spiritual seeking, it's kind of our duty and obligation to be the ones who bring love into situations where we're probably not being treated fairly. But you have to look at it in terms of awareness, consciousness in the spiritual sense. How disidentified from the form identity are you? Most people are still very, 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 very form identified. So it's up to those of us who have been doing the work, who have seen through the form identity, because it will catch us from time to time. That pain body makes a lot of noise sometimes. It's up to us to be the one to let go of the ego's stories about how you need to be right in this situation. It's up to us to be the ones to surrender all of that egoic story, the need to be right in a situation, and just choose love. It's most people most people are form identified, they don't have the capacity to do that yet. It's up to those of us who have been doing the work. We have the capacity to do it. It's not always easy, but we have that obligation and that duty. There's this term people use called light workers. I try to be careful with terms like that because the mind gets really excited about terms like this and tries to make them into ways to bolster the form identity. We have to be so careful about that. All of this form experience is temporary, and the real us. Rex, did you just fart? That's impressive. Sometimes my dogs fart and it sounds like human farts. What a good boy. Not using terms like light worker or star seed or whatever to get excited about our form identity and feel special. Those of us who are doing the authentic inner spiritual work, the same kind of work that Jesus was talking about, the Buddha was talking about, other different ancient, I'm not well versed when it comes to religions and that sort of a thing, but these teachings have been scattered throughout human history. And they're really all basically the same teaching with different window dressings. And those of us who are on that authentic path, that you could say light workers, simply because, not because of some other woo-woo kind of, I like woo-woo, don't get me wrong, but not because of like some form identity experience. Light, love, God energy. We are the ones who are working on bringing that light into this dark human experience. That's why people are called light workers. People who are genuinely trying to free themselves from the confines of the form identity and all of its blocks to that natural flow of love. And it's our duty and it's our obligation. And sometimes it means, even if you feel like someone else is doing something that is very wrong, letting go of the anger, letting go of the need to be right and tell them how they're wrong, letting go of that and becoming conscious presence and choosing. You have to actively choose sometimes to let that love flow through into a particular situation. It doesn't mean not having boundaries. It doesn't mean saying no. It doesn't mean not saying no. You know, all those things are going to be a part of your experience. But getting to the place where you understand that they know not what they do, even if they're hurting you. And the only way out of the darkness in this human experience is through that love. We can't fight our way to a place of you know, beauty and love and compassion and, you know, the age of Aquarius, or like a utopian society. You can't fight your way to it. You can't dig your heels in and be right and get there. You know, it's like sometimes you have to say how you feel about something, and you say it. But then you still choose to let that love. So here's what happens in relationships a lot of the time. Things will happen, and sometimes those things that other people say and do will really hurt. And when something really hurts, it's sort of like the form identity's natural response to guard and protect. And what ends up happening is you close that love off. So it's about being brave enough to be vulnerable and to not guard and protect, to acknowledge the wounds, to acknowledge the pain, see it for what it is, and not block that love from naturally flowing through. I know it's painful. I know people mistreat us sometimes. We need, you know, working on authentically seeing the things that we're doing, at those of us who are on this awakening path. Having a really good mirror, as I like to say, because those unconscious wounds are tricky and a lot of people don't see what they do. And then at the same time, when people hurt us, staying conscious enough to not block off that natural flow of love. I have seen in my own experience the way that when we actually let our guard down, let the ego down, and choose energetically to allow that love to flow through instead of blocking it off, the way it can actually transform situations. Miracles can happen. I've also seen the power of prayer and the way that that is real, and miracles do happen with the power of prayer. So this eclipse, according to astrology, I like astrology, is a representation of things coming to the surface from the past and allowing certain things to fall away. And the eclipse is a representation of the potential for new beginnings for people. And so love is the most important thing in this experience. And the reason why this experience is hard is this form identity is built to block that love from flowing through. So that is the duty of a light worker. That and that alone. Doesn't matter, you know, any kind of story attached to the term light worker. Those of us who are working on not blocking that love and letting it flow through into this experience, that is light work, and it is the most important work that this world needs at this time. Not being right, not telling other people how wrong they are. Love, it is the most important thing. I love you. Have an awesome day. Oh, please like and subscribe if you like this video. Thank you. Bye.